Hi y'all, it's Jocelyn. Although if you're on this channel, you probably know me better by the channel name, Blowmadger. This video is a little bit different from what I normally do, as I normally do Let's Play content, which, if you want to see more of me, I would encourage you to go watch that stuff. But, I felt the need to make a video like this because it's not something that I have personally found very many videos of on YouTube. And what it is that I am a trans woman and I am getting bottom surgery. And not just that, I'm in the United States and I am getting my bottom surgery in the United States with my private insurance. All the videos that I've seen have been people from different countries, or even if they are in the United States, for some reason they still want to go to like Thailand or something to get it. And I suppose that's fine and well if that's an option for you, but I would like to think most trans women in America are probably in the same boat that I am, where I live paycheck to paycheck and is just an unattainable goal without the aid of insurance. And I wanted to talk about my experience with it. It is currently Sunday and I am scheduled for my bottom surgery this Thursday. So we're almost there. I guess the first thing is, how did I go about finding the surgeon that was right for me? Well, I live in South Alabama, so I turned my eyes towards Florida for surgeons because in my research I did not find a single gender-affirming surgeon in Alabama or any of the surrounding states except Florida. And the first surgeon I found was Dr. Gallagher out of Miami. I saw some reviews that were pretty good for her online. I started talking to her. I got a little bit nervous after this because I started seeing Reddit posts where people were not as kind as those reviews. I don't know for sure what to think of her. Ultimately, I ended up not going with her because her practice is out of network for all insurance, which means I still would have had to pony up the money for it up front, and that's just not doable for me. I got as far as a consultation, and she was very pleasant, and that's all I could say is just I couldn't go with her because I couldn't get the money together for that. And so I ended up going with Dr. Weinstein in Tampa, who not only had good reviews, but people on Reddit just absolutely glowing reviews of her. And so I made my appointment. This was last August. My appointment was originally supposed to be in January, but like a couple days before that hurricane hit Tampa, and this may have been completely unrelated to the hurricane, the hospital called me and said they had to reschedule it, so it got pushed back to March. And I didn't have any referrals or anything. I was just doing this, completely on my own with my own research, armed with nothing but Google, Reddit, and I had my consultation, and she was very lovely. I've actually had several trans women ask me since then if I saw a lot of samples of her work, and the thing about that is apparently a lot of her patients choose to go on to try and live stealth, so it's all on a voluntary basis. If you want that kind of thing to be available for others to see, and understandably there wasn't a lot for me to see, but what I did see it looked normal, for lack of a better word. It looked like what you would expect to see. But my consultation came. I did actually already have my referrals from my mental health care. I get my hormones through Plume, so they provided me a letter, and my psychiatrist gave me my other letter. And I had those ready before my consultation, which is good because they needed two. And what I didn't know was that I also needed to see their urologist. And so I made an appointment with him, Dr. Everett. And the earliest I could get into him was actually a lot sooner than when I could see Dr. Weinstein. It was about a month out. I saw him. Dr. Weinstein had told me that I needed to get some kind of permanent hair removal on my genital area. I can't show you the picture of the diagram that showed where it needed to be done, but basically around the scrotum, the shaft, and like a upside down triangle underneath it, going all the way towards the back end. But ultimately I ended up getting laser done just on the whole area because I couldn't get like a discount just for that area, so I was like, might as well get what I paid for. That's a whole separate topic to talk about in a bit. I got my appointment with Dr. Everett, and it was very similar to my consultation with Dr. Weinstein. They both did an inspection of the area, went over any concerns about the process. With Dr. Weinstein, I actually had to sign Florida's propaganda, and I want to warn you, Florida, their government is very anti-trans, and they require anybody seeking gender-affirming surgery to sign an acknowledgement of propaganda. It's what it is. I'm sorry. It was this like 7-page packet just filled with lies and half-truths about gender-affirming care to try and scare people away from it. Don't put any stock in it. You have to sign it to be able to do anything in Florida. So if you're seeking surgery in Florida, just don't even bother reading it. You're not agreeing to anything. It's just an acknowledgement that you received this packet. And it's not worth reading because it's all lies. But anyways, there was about a month in between. I got my first laser session, and there was a massive difference. So when I saw Dr. Everett, he was actually able to comment on how much further I needed to go with my laser hair removal. And I had paid for 5 sessions, and he was pretty confident, as was I, that the area would be good enough after those 5 sessions. But he did want to wait just a little bit, so I had to follow up with him, I think 2 months later, which I was allowed to do by telehealth. I just had to be in the state of Florida, so hopped across the state line to do my telehealth call. I live close enough to Florida that wasn't really an issue. It's like a 30-minute drive for me. And after the telehealth appointment, we were good to go. Within a week, his scheduler got up with Dr. Weinstein's scheduler, and they got me an appointment. So my appointment for surgery is really right at the 1-year mark from when I first called to make my appointment for a consultation. And that's how this process has gone. It was fairly simple. The worst part was just driving to and from Florida a couple times. all the staff at both Dr. Weinstein's office and Dr. Everett's office were very nice. They were very respectful. They called me by my name, which, I mean, by now it's not a preferred name. It's my legal name. They never got my pronouns wrong or anything. Yeah, this Thursday I'm going back to get it done. I am getting the full depth penile inversion vaginoplasty. There are different types of bottom surgery, even for the same gender. I don't claim to know all of them, but I know the main ones that I was looking at was either the penile inversion vaginoplasty or what's it called? Peritoneal pull-through, I think. I know them better by the abbreviations PIV and PPT. I ended up going with PIV because it seemed a little bit safer to me. The main advantage of PPT would have been that it is a mucous membrane, so it would self-lubricate a little bit, but by and large, people who have gotten PPT report that you still need lubrication before doing any kind of penetration. So it was like, I'd rather just be safer. So I went with the PIV. And apparently it's not the size of what you have that is important so much as the area they have to work with from the scrotum. So if that is not enough, then they will have to look for a graft from elsewhere. And in that case, PPT may be right for you. But that's definitely something to talk with your surgeon about. For me, though, this was all I really needed. I had sufficient area down there for the PIV, so that's what I chose. Now, of course, we did talk about the risks of it, and really, there's not very many risks. The thing I was worried most about was fistula, which apparently Dr. Weinstein uses a robot to assist her. So, like, the risk for anything going wrong is very minimal. We'll see how it goes Thursday. So some things to keep in mind are that you can expect that it's going to look grotesque for like half a year, just because it's going to be very swollen. All the stitches and all that are going to be healing. It's not going to be pretty at first. But I have heard a lot of trans women say that after it's had time to heal, it looks actually really good. Now, I know a lot of trans women are very picky about how it looks. I'm not particularly picky. As long as it looks like a vagina, that's good enough for me. I don't need it to be a perfect vagina. So I don't know how necessary revisions will be, but that's a bridge I'll have to cross afterward. I would like to talk about insurance a little bit. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama, and they do cover hormones, bottom surgery, and top surgery for both trans masc and trans femme. And they actually had gotten rid of the 1-year requirement to be on hormones before surgery. as of 2025. No, either 2025 or 2024. I can't remember. But I had already reached that point anyway by the time I had my consultation. Um, it They had also required letters previously, and that got removed as well. Insurance doesn't want my letters. It's just the surgeons want my letters. Now, this is something that'll vary depending on your insurance. But what was important to note is that Dr. Weinstein and Tampa General are both in network for my insurance, which means they're covered. The only thing that I had to pay for was up to my out-of-pocket maximum, which it's August, so like my copays and stuff go against the out-of-pocket maximum. I don't think it'll get lower anymore, so my estimate right now is like $100. That's it. I'm gonna pay $100 for this surgery, which is wild, but that does make it accessible for someone like me that lives paycheck to paycheck. And honestly, I didn't have to do much of anything with my insurance because, like I said, it's 2025 right now, so it's currently covered. And I have the gender dysphoria diagnosis from my psychiatrist, and that's really all they needed, just that diagnosis. Not that my insurance reached out to me for any additional information. I've already gotten a letter from them telling me that's covered and what my estimated cost is, and so I'm good to go with insurance. All I did was just give them my number like I would at any new doctor that I see, and that was it. It was surprisingly simple for me. So the only other thing that I really have to talk about here is hair removal. So I have dark hair and fair skin naturally, which means I'm a perfect candidate for laser hair removal. If you have light hair or you have dark skin, then laser may not be for you, in which case you're kind of limited to electrolysis, which is more expensive and slower. Electrolysis, as I understand it, will work on any hair color and skin type, but they're basically attacking each individual hair one at a time, whereas laser, it targets an area and it works by targeting pigment. So that's why dark skin doesn't work so well with laser. Light hair doesn't work so well with laser because it lacks pigment. And even me with dark hair and fair skin, it hurt a lot. I got it done on my genitals and on my face. You can't see it right now on my face because I've got makeup on anyway, but I'll probably put up some pictures. I don't have the best of before and after pictures, but I do have some pictures before I got it done for the first time, and obviously I can show you what it looks like now after it's been done. Now, there's a few things about laser. Now, I'm going all the way up to Huntsville to get my laser done because someone I went to high school with, her daughter is a laser tech, and I was just more comfortable dealing with someone that I know rather than shopping around where I live and possibly dealing with transphobic people, because there's a lot of them around here. Yes, even in the medical industry. I dealt with a lot of transphobia while I was in the hospital last year with my back surgery. But yeah, I chose to go up to Huntsville. So here's the thing about laser. The trick is don't buy it at full price. They have deals all the time. All the time. So I was able to get these two areas done, which was want to say full price was probably around $1,200 or $1,300 for 5 sessions, which is what I paid for, and I got it for half off. So wait for the deals. I do plan to actually go back and get the whole body done, but I am going to try and wait for a deal that makes it more accessible, because the whole body is something like 3,000 or 4,000. I'd have to look at the price chart they gave me, but it's something like $3,000 or $4,000 for 5 sessions to do the whole body. Yeah. So the way it works is there's like 3 stages of growth that hair follicles work in, and your laser is targeting a specific stage, one of the 3. And that's why you have to go so many times. That's why you might see massive results after one session and like no results after another. And obviously, the more you get it done, the less hair that's there, the less of a difference you're going to see as you get it done. And that could just be luck of the draw. It could be that all you've got left is like me, and all you got left is grays that it's not really targeting because they don't have pigment. Whatever the case, it will take multiple sessions. For me, my genital area was pretty much good for surgery after 3 sessions. I went ahead and did the whole 5 sessions anyway, just to be sure, because, I mean, you don't want hair inside. Once the surgery's done, you can't really do laser on that anymore. So, but, so, laser. It does hurt. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It hurts. It hurt way worse on my face than it did on my genitals. Like, not even close. And the reason for that is just how much more dense the hair follicles are on my face versus my genitals. It still did hurt a little bit on the genitals, but not enough to make me flinch, except, like in the middle, my skin is darker for some reason, and that's kind of where it made me jump a little bit. But other than that, it wasn't too bad on my genitals. On my face, though, it wasn't really too bad here. But, ooh, right in here and here. That was hard. That was very hard, especially that first session. Second session, I took a painkiller about 30 minutes before I got there, as well as my laser tech applied a local numbing cream all over my face, and those 2 things together helped a lot. I would recommend taking a painkiller. Obviously, don't take something that's going to make you drowsy if you're driving a long distance by yourself like I was, but there's plenty of painkillers that you can take. It's a good idea just to take it ahead of time. And also, like, if you get like me, where all your dark hairs are gone and you still have gray hairs, just know that laser makes no guarantee to get your gray hairs. It can get them because it's possible that they have enough pigment left in them that the laser can target them, but there's no guarantees. You might just need to consider, if all you have left is gray hairs, that it's time to move over to electrolysis. And that's ultimately what I'm going to be doing, but it's kind of a low priority. The dark hairs I needed gone because I could not get a close enough shave. It would look like I had a 5 o'clock shadow immediately after shaving. And now with just gray hairs, they're basically invisible after a shave, so I'm okay with that for now. And that's really all I've got to say about laser. As for the bottom surgery, why did I decide to get it? Well, I do identify as a lesbian. And I didn't have bottom dysphoria at first. And I didn't see a need for it because my plumbing matched my wife's. So, like, I was fine with it. But as time went on and dysphoria eased in other areas, I started to notice things that made me dysphoric that didn't really seem apparent before. And I think one of the major things that made me dysphoric about my genitals was when it came to tucking. Because, like, I wanted things to be smooth, so I tucked, like, all the time. And the worst thing in the world is when a tuck slips. And you just have to wait until you can get to a bathroom or something to fix it. And it's so uncomfortable. I have OCD too, so I could not possibly focus on anything else except that. It was intense. I mean, I just also had a lot of dysphoria about a lot of things just not fitting me the way they should because of what I had. And I don't know, it's just a feeling that it must have always been there, and I just didn't notice it because other things were pressing so much harder against me. But now, it's pretty intense to deal with now, and I have no doubts in my mind that this is the right thing for me to do. Now, how am I feeling about it? It is 5 days away, 4 days away. How many days away? 4 days away? 4 days away. So, I do just in general have a little bit of anxiety about anesthesia. So, I do feel that. I felt this when I went under for back surgery last year. I feel it now. Going under anesthesia makes me nervous. But that's fine. It's nothing I can't handle or deal with. I did have a little bit of cold feet that I talked to my therapist about last week. And the conclusion that we both came to was that it was just general apprehension about surgery and about what my wife really thinks, and not any indication that this was not what I wanted. Because it was little things like when she would ask me, you know, if there's any chance I might not do it, just without hesitation, I was like, no, I'm definitely going to do it. So it's pretty clear that this is what's right for me, and I just have some normal anxiety, as anyone would going into surgery. And then I have trauma and abandonment issues, which is why I'm overly worried about what my wife truly thinks. She tells me what she thinks, and I believe her, but my own trauma makes it difficult to just accept that at what she's saying. But like at the end of the day, even if she had a problem with it, I think the right thing for me would still be to go ahead and do it. So here we are. And that is really all I have to say about this prior to the surgery. I don't know if I will be able to, but I would like to do some recording in the hospital. I will have to ask for permission, but if I do not get that permission, then I will do what I can after surgery to update you all. I don't know at this time if this is going to be a single video or if it's going to be in parts, but this is where video ends for the moment. Well, it's been a 6-hour drive, but I'm finally here. I'm tired and I am hungry and I am thirsty and I cannot do anything about any of those things. But they wanted me to be here at the hospital at 5 a.m. and that was a 6-hour drive and a time zone change for me. So I had to leave our house about 9 o'clock last night. Just drive on through the night. I also had to stop taking my medicine. I mean, it depends on what medicines, but like, they won't let me take my estradiol, and that was the only thing that I was due to take during this trip. But, yeah, the only other thing is I had to bathe with antibacterial soap, like Hibiclens, before I came. But, yeah, I guess it's time to go check in and just see what tests they want to run on me. I probably won't be able to record again until we're actually in the room post-surgery. So it has been about a week since my follow-up appointment with Dr. Weinstein post-op. I was going to do some recording in the hospital, but there really never was a good time. But I will go ahead and talk about my experience in the hospital. It was honestly very smooth the whole way through, except for two things. One of which I can't fault the hospital for at all. And that actually started pre-operative. So I had to drive all night long to get to Tampa because it's 6 hours away for me. And we got there a little bit before the hospital opened, so we had to sit on a bench outside until 5:30 a.m. But once in there, my wife had to go through like the guest entrance or whatever. Like, it was the same entrance, but like patients like went to a different place to process than guests do. But once she did that and I did my processing, we waited until we were called and we were sent to the proper waiting room for what we were there for. And then we did some more waiting, or I was finally called back. And they took me to a bathroom with like this kit. They made me strip down and wipe myself off with these like bathing wipes. And then I had to put on the gown and the no-slip socks and head on over to the bed that they told me to go to. Once there, it's pretty standard stuff. If you get surgery, they ask you a bunch of questions about medical history. They'll ask you so many times your name and date of birth. But one of the things they had to do was get a blood test. And I have really squiggly veins, so this struggled with. This is not something I blame them for. This is something I've known. It's just always an issue. I offered them this elbow right here because it's a known good vein that I use whenever I get my blood tested for my hormone levels. But the blood drawing kit burst. And I know it burst because I felt my blood dripping all down my arm. I can't watch my blood being drawn because it makes me nauseated. I'm not grossed out by blood or anything, but just seeing the blood exit my body makes me sick for some reason. But I felt it. And then I started getting nauseated and really lightheaded. Really, really hot. They did help me with those issues.
being hot persisted until they finally took like this blower and stuck it in my gown, and I was like, ah, relief. But yeah, they eventually had someone from their ultrasound team come by and get the blood drawn, and that was successful, and it was fine. So eventually I go back to the operating room, and they were going to give me an epidural, which was going to be unpleasant, so I'm told. But because of the back surgery I had last year, which involved getting hardware installed in my back, they were unable to. So it was just like when I went in for my back surgery. They just kind of got me on the table, got me prepped, and off to nighty night land. And then I woke up post surgery, and my feet were killing me. Apparently, they had to put me in such a position that all my body weight was supported in the stirrups on my heels. That's why it really hurt. So they let my wife massage my feet. They let me drink and eat some things like graham crackers and juice, and everything was fine. I slowly regained my strength. Apparently, I made a D's nuts joke when I came to. I guess got him one last time, right? I don't remember doing that, but that sounds like something I would do. Yeah, this process was just like checking to make sure that I'm stable, from no complications from the anesthesia and all that. It was about 30 minutes before they wheeled me off to my room. The room was cramped, but I don't want to complain because at least it was a private room. Because there are rooms at that hospital that are not private. And yeah, I pretty much slept the rest of that first day. Every night they would come by and draw more blood. They had an IV in my hand here, and another one a little bit up my arm right here. They were putting an antibiotic into my hand IV, and it stung. So when I told them it stung, they switched it to my arm, and it stung even worse. So that was kind of an ongoing thing. And again, this was my fault. I wouldn't let them touch it, really. I was like, I could deal with the hand pain, so I'm just going to deal with it. That eventually led into a thing on the last day, but I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I pretty much slept the first day. I know I woke up in the middle of the night to find my meal tray sitting there, and I ate it. I had no eating restrictions, so that was nice. I had a catheter, so I don't have to worry about peeing. They gave me Miralax and a stool softener overnight, that first night, and taking it was a mistake. They always want you to poop before you go home after being put under anesthesia. But because I took this, my second and third days there was just like constant. It was awful, humiliating. I hated it so much. It was bad enough that they had to put me on Imodium before all was said and done. Meanwhile, they continued to take my blood in the night, and I wouldn't let them mess with IVs because they hurt so much. I just wanted to do what I had to deal with. Fourth day, though, the IV in my hand, it busted loose. Like, it just started leaking down my hand. So the nurse then took out both of the IVs and ordered ultrasound to come by and put one in my arm. And they took so long that they had just a regular nurse try and put one in again, and of course this person missed. Which, again, I don't fault the hospital for that. My veins are pretty squiggly and hard to hit. It's something I know about myself. ultrasound came by not long after that, and they got in one. It wasn't too bad, but like I was really traumatized by needles after all of this by this point. But he got it in, and I no longer felt any pain from the antibiotic, and I wish I had done this on the first day. I really wish I had. Anyway, I mean, aside from all that, after 4 days, well, if we call the day of surgery the first day, after 5 days, they took the dressing off and told me they just wanted me to empty my bladder and then I would be good to go because I had no complications. Everything looked good. Learning to pee was difficult. I did not learn how to pee while I was in the hospital. They kept telling me just relax your muscles and let gravity take over, but that's not exactly correct. You do still have to activate your pee muscle to get it started. Once it's started, you can kind of let it go, and you know the law of siphoning will kind of like drain your bladder from there. But if you don't activate the pee muscle, you're going to struggle like I did. I was worried about ripping something or whatever, so of course I listened to their advice to the T. And gotta flex that pee muscle. What can I say? I could not feel anything at first. Like, it was totally numb. I didn't even know that I had peed, except that I heard the pee dripping down into the toilet. Now a lot of that feeling has returned. We're about, a little over 2 weeks post-op at this point. So I tried to pee 3 times, and they had to come with the ultrasound to measure my bladder to see if I emptied it. Of course, I didn't ever fully empty it, but after the 3rd time, they did say good enough and let me go. And of course, we opted to go home. They wanted me to stay in the area, but with my kids, it wasn't in the cards for us to stay. So we went home, and I did my best to hold it the whole way, the whole 6-hour drive home. So it was very painful when I got home and got on the toilet because I didn't know how to start peeing. So I'm just sitting there in pain, trying to pee. But like I said, I learned how to pee pretty much at that point, and everything was fine. I didn't want to try learning how to pee in a public restroom. I just didn't want to do that. Not to mention it, I was in Florida like the whole way, except for like the last 30 minutes of the trip, so technically it would have been illegal. Not that I care about that law. Stupid laws like that should be ignored, but I didn't want any trouble, so I held it. And it was painful, but I got through it. So I was told that I wouldn't be dilating until after my follow-up. So his first couple of days was just like, relax, focus on healing up. And I really wasn't in pain, neither in the hospital nor afterward. Like, I just haven't been in pain. Everything's sore. It has been sore, but like, soreness is not the same as pain. And so I'm not in pain. I haven't really needed to take any painkillers. In fact, in the hospital, I only took Tylenol. And about medicine in the hospital, you do need to be aware of what you're on, what you need, and what you can't take. Because they kept trying to give me dutasteride every time I had a new nurse. And I had to tell them, I don't need that anymore. Because that was my testosterone blocker. A couple of nurses tried to give me ibuprofen. And because of my back surgery last year, I had to tell them I cannot take NSAIDs. So the only things I was able to take for pain were Tylenol and oxycodone. And I refused the oxycodone because I wanted to have that available should things ever spike for the worse. And they really never did. I took oxycodone once, and that was to kind of stop me up when I was having the bowel issues. And so I came home and started my medicine back as I was before. The only thing I needed to add to it was they put me on gabapentin. Everything else was like a as-needed basis, and I haven't really needed any of it. I've taken a couple of Tylenols, because that was some of it. But most of the stuff was like oxycodone, Tylenol, stool softener, like an anti-nausea medicine, stuff like that. And at home, everything has been healing nicely. Like I said, it's still sore. I've been using the underwear that they gave me, so I don't want to mess up my own. And maxi pads, because I'm actually still bleeding now for 2 weeks after surgery. At first, the only thing I was doing when I peed was using a wipe to pat it down as good as I could. But following my follow-up, where I had my first dilation session, talked more about things like douching and cleaning and whatnot. Things changed a little bit. So I was real gun-shy about taking showers. Okay, I actually just took my first shower since surgery today. I had my wife use the same bathing wipes that they use in the hospital up until then, and I'd been washing my hair in the sink. I know that sounds disgusting, but honestly, after surgery, like, you want a shower, but you really don't want to risk messing anything up. But yeah, so dilation, from what I hear, your mileage may vary depending on who your surgeon is. But like, schedule may start different and progress different, but the end point is always once a week. And so I'm doing 3 times a day for 30 minutes. You just put the dilator in and you hold it in place until the time's up. And then you take it out. Of course, you wash it with warm soapy water before and after. And then after dilating, you got to douche, which I was told to use betadine, just a few drops, and some hot water, or warm soapy water if I didn't have betadine. And additionally, I like to use my para bottle filled up with warm soapy water after I'm done douching. She said you got to pee a little bit, just even if it's just a few drops. I will do that, and then I'll use a wipe, and then I'll take my para bottle full of warm soapy water, and I'll rinse everything real good. Fill it up again after rinsing out the soap with just warm water to wash it off. Then I'll take some toilet paper and just pat it dry. And that's good. Because until I started doing that, I started getting a little bit of a smell. Which, like, it smelled normal. It's just, it was strong. It was clearly the unbathed smell. Ugh. Unpleasant. Hopefully all that's past me now. Dilating has been unpleasant. it's gotten easier, which unfortunately means I'm going to have to move up a size in dilator soon, which will make it less easy. But whatever you expect it to feel like, you could throw that expectation out the window. Feels unlike anything I've experienced before. You'll feel it going in. Before it's all the way in, it feels like it's pushing up against a wall. But it's not. You just have to relax your muscles, which is probably the hardest thing about it. I'm unable to do it by myself because my arms are too short to reach the dilator without tensing up my muscles. So my wife has to help me. And we're able to get it all the way in now. We weren't able to at first. It's not the most comfortable thing once it's in there either, but it's honestly worse going in and coming out than it is just holding it. Yeah, that's really kind of where we're at. Dilation's not pleasant, but it's getting easier. Eventually, it will get to the point where it's not a big deal. A lot of what makes it as not easy as it is just the fact that I'm still healing. And yes, everything is still swollen down there. But like I said, feeling's starting to return. I can touch most of it without feeling like the soreness from the touch. So that's good. And it looks good. I'm very pleased with the results. I know a lot of trans women get hung up over how it looks, but it looks like a vagina to me. That's good enough for me. So I guess really the only question left is, do I have any regrets? And the answer to that is no. I am happy with it. I haven't really had a lot of chance to go out and experience things that I felt bottom dysphoria doing before, because I don't think it was just simply having the anatomy I had that gave me bottom dysphoria. It was the way that anatomy interacted with things. Things like, when a tuck would slip. That was probably the worst. During sexual activity, it became useless and was in the way. So that was dysphoria inducing. Wearing tight clothing where you could see it even when it was tucked, that was also dysphoria inducing. And those are all things that I'm not doing now while it's healing. But I have not been feeling any dysphoria. Mission accomplished. As for what it cost, because I went through my insurance, the only thing I had to pay was my remaining out-of-pocket costs for the year, which at the time was $75. And they did call me before I even left my house to go down there, and they collected that. And that was it. Didn't have to pay anything else. Didn't have to pay anything for my follow-up either. Great. I shouldn't have any copays anywhere else. Now, your mileage will vary on that cost, because I got this done late August, so I'd already paid a lot of money through my other doctor visits throughout the year towards my maximum out-of-pocket cost. I think my out-of-pocket cost starts at $800 each year for the individual. I'm not sure how this interacts with your deductible, because I actually had already met my deductible for the year when this came up. So for me, it was just my maximum out-of-pocket cost. But I think if I understand this correctly, and don't quote me on this, because I do not understand insurance at all. If I understand it correctly, your out-of-pocket costs exceeds what your deductible is, then I think it will be capped by your deductible. Because I think my deductible is only $200. But I already met my deductible for the year. So there was like, I don't know how that works. I really don't know. I paid $75, my deductible was already met, and that $75 met my max out-of-pocket cost for the year. So it was very doable financially. In fact, I spent more getting there than I did on the surgery itself. And getting there was kind of cheap. It was just, filled up my tank of gas before I left, and then I filled it up when I got there. But yeah, that does it. That is the whole process, start to finish, for being a trans woman in the U.S. seeking bottom surgery from a U.S. surgeon at a U.S. hospital with private insurance. And I probably will make a follow-up video to this, maybe like a year down the line, to let y'all know how things are going from there, how I'm feeling about it still at that point. But yeah, like I said, I didn't have any complications. Everything's healing nicely, and just aside from finding dilation annoying, everything's great. It looks good. No regrets. And with that, I'm going to end this video off. Once again, I would like to remind you that this is not the type of content that I normally make. I normally do video game content. And if you would like to watch that, I welcome you to it. You could subscribe if you'd like to see what I upload that stuff. But even if that's not what you're interested in, please do give the video a like, and I would love to hear whatever comments you may have for me. But until next time, bye.